Have you seen the price of Christmas trees now? It's like ridiculous. It's like, it's like 3 figures now for a Christmas tree. And what do you have it for 2 weeks and like the pine needles get over the floor? It's like disgusting. You got to vacuum it up. It's a waste. That's why I always go with a fake tree. Welcome to Section 420, Talkin Yankees. Well, negotiations for Juan Soto starts and then stalls. We'll kind of give you a little background there, what's holding up the deal, and then I'll kind of give my little take of, which side is being unreasonable. Now, there is a new Yankee. That'll be Gonzalez. Maybe not too familiar with him. May remember when the Yankees faced Cleveland Guardians back in the 2022 divisional series there. Kind of hurt the Yankees a little bit, so maybe you remember from that, but I'll kind of give a reminder about this whole thing. Didn't have a great 2023 season, but again, I'll give you the whole tail of tape on that guy. There is a former Yankee, of course, Lou Piniella, of both a manager and a player, snubbed for the Hall of Fame. Get a little insight on that. And of course, we have to say bon voyage, as you know right now, for Luis Severino, staying in New York, but now joining the Mets for a 1-year deal, which surprising but not surprising. Again, we'll kind of look back at Luis Severino's career with the Yankees, kind of up and down a little bit, little mixed feelings on that. So we'll get into all that great stuff. It is the holiday season. I got the tree here, and I had to go buy the tree, put it on top of the car, drive it, and bring it home, decorate it there. So hopefully we can celebrate the tree here for December. So a lot of good stuff. And if you haven't done it already, if you want to make this really a special holiday season, make sure you subscribe. So if you're watching right now on YouTube, subscribe. And you want to throw in a comment, you agree with me, disagree, or just want to give your own take, maybe you want to propose a trade, throw it in there, start a discussion. It's good stuff. Just gets the algorithms going. We want to get those algorithms going. And of course, there's an audio version podcast of the show. So as much as you'd like to see me, you get news quicker, you get my takes quicker. And we got a lot of stuff here. We have a long off season ahead of us, a couple months still till spring training. We got the Soto drama, and of course, Ohtani's been floating around. Not that I think he's going to go to Yankees, but there's going to be a lot to talk about in the off season as the Yankees look to improve this team, and as of course, a lot of stuff going around baseball. So make sure to go wherever you get your favorite podcast, Section 420 Talkin Yankees, the podcast. Subscribe there as well. So with the winter meetings underway, the Yankees had a dialogue with the San Diego Padres for Juan Soto. So I'll say that's the good news, that there is something going on there. And players have been named, but unfortunately, as of December 1st, it looks like the negotiations have stopped. Now, this was going to be a package that the Yankees would put together a bunch of pitchers. It was going to include either Michael King and or Drew Thorpe, which is what the San Diego wants. And of course, the Yankees are probably going to sprinkle in, Johnny Brito or someone like Vasquez or Clark Schmidt there. So it looks like the Yankees are just going to part with a handful of pitchers for Juan Soto. So, for me, that would seem like, if you could do that and you don't have to give up Volpe, and of course, not that I would even consider giving up Jason Dominguez, I think that would be a positive move for the Yankees to make. But unfortunately, the Yankees do not want to part with either Michael King or Drew Thorpe. He's one of their top pitching prospects, and actually he's one of the top pitching prospects all throughout baseball there. So now I'm going to kind of dive into this whole thing and give you my take here. So I'll say, first of all, good news that the Yankees and Padres are talking at least, so I'll say that's a positive there. Now, look, we all know the situation with Juan Soto. He's going to be a 1-year rental. He has 1 year left on his deal. He's entering an arbitration year, so based on the numbers he put up, you're going to probably have to pay him $25-30 million just for this year alone. But it's not a long-term deal. It's a 1-year deal, arbitration, and then he's going to enter free agency in 2025. And then at that point for the Yankees, you're not really, you're not forced to sign him. You don't have to keep him. You just let him walk. So what this is really just going to be for the Yankees is a 1-year rental. So you have to give up some talent, because again, to get talent, you have to give up talent, but you don't have to give up your real big talent. Like you would have to give up a Jason Dominguez or even an Anthony Volpe. Now, I mentioned before, I would almost consider Volpe, even if it's a 1 year for Soto, just because I think to put him in that Yankee lineup, I think it would be worth it. But okay, nevertheless, he's off the table. So it looks like there's a situation where you can get Soto without giving up Jason Dominguez and without giving up Volpe. So good news there, and I think it's an opportunity that the Yankees are missing out on. Now, okay, what the Padres want, they want either, as mentioned before, Drew Thorpe and or Michael King. Now, I think for the Yankees, they're being a little stubborn here. I'd be willing to give one of them up just to get Soto for a year. I know we like King. We see what we could do here. And for Drew Thorpe, you're not familiar with him, so I'll kind of go over his numbers here now. Last season, he split time between single A and double A. Now, he's young, 23 years old. So his numbers, he had 182 strikeouts in 139 innings, so he's averaging more strikeout per inning. That's good. ERA 2.52, pretty good, under 3. You'd like to see that. And holding opposing batters to an average of .199. So he's holding opposing hitters to a batting average below 200 there. So you can understand why the Yankees are high on this guy, why they would want to keep him, not give him away. I understand that totally. And really the the word on the street again regarding him is that he's not one of these guys you see in the minors typically that just blows the fastball by you 100 miles per hour, which those type of guys are a dime a dozen in the minors. Then when they come up here to the majors, they just get clocked around. This guy's a little bit different. He attacks hitters with a low 90s fastball, and then he gets people out. His bread and butter is a changeup. So to have a 23-year-old that's mature enough and ready getting batters out with a changeup in single and double A, that's something very impressive. So you can see why the Yankees, if I hide this guy, would not want to give him away. And of course, Michael King, we know Michael King already. Obviously, a setup man out of the bullpen. When he originally came up here a couple of seasons ago, he was a starter, really didn't work out, but then again, he gravitated to be a 7th to 8th inning man. He's been very good at that, and I think that's his highest value for the Yankees. I think that's where he should be, but nevertheless, we saw towards the end of last season, the Yankees slowly moving him into a starter there, and again, in the handful of starts he had, very impressive. You remember that one start he had went like 7 innings, had like 13 strikeouts like that. So he could probably handle the workload. So we see he could do it. And you'd figure going into next year, 2024, the Yankees would consider him from perhaps being one of the 5th starter there. So that's the tale on both here. But if I'm the Yankees here, look, I'd be willing to give up either one of them because to get Juan Soto just for a year, I think it's totally worth it. Now let's just look at these two guys here. Drew Thorpe, I don't know, he might be something, but that's why they call him prospects. He could very easily be a Davey Garcia where he's not even with the team anymore. Or maybe he has a career like A.J. Burnett. He comes up, he has some good moments, some bad moments, and then next thing you know, he's on the Pittsburgh Pirates and then you never hear from him again. Maybe this guy, Drew Thorpe, becomes an Ivan Nova, where he gives you like 1 year where he wins like 18 games and then he kind of floats away, flutters there, and he's like not even baseball anymore. So we don't even know about these guys. So yes, I understand the hype around him, and he's got these good numbers, impressive, but he's a prospect, and now if you tell me he's on AAA and he's got an ERA of 1, all right, maybe that's a little different here. But, this guy's not the situation we saw. If you wanted to go back to remember like Jabba Chamberlain when he first came up in 2007. Now, obviously, he was coming out of the bullpen. We had the job rules, all that stuff, but he was just an absolute animal, untouchable. You would never even consider trading Jabba Chamberlain at that time. But I don't put this guy in Drew Thorpe in that category because we just thought Chamberlain was like going to be the next Nolan Ryan, just the way he was blowing hitters away like that. Now, nevertheless, the Yankees turned him to a starter, and it's never really worked out with Chamberlain. But again, another example, a prospect. So you don't know these guys. Same thing with Phil Hughes. When we first got Phil Hughes, we were very high on him. You would never even think about trading Phil Hughes, and that's why the Yankees never dealt Phil Hughes or Chamberlain or anybody to the Brewers to get CeCe's Bath originally in 2008. They wanted to hold on to those guys. Again, I don't put Drew Thorpe in that category just yet. Maybe within a year or two, maybe we'll feel different about him. But at this point, I don't think he's one of those prospects where you just can't let go. So if you just let him go just to get Soto, I think you totally make the deal. Or if you want to let go King. Now, of the two of them, if I want to say Michael King and or Drew Thorpe, of the two of them, I'd rather let go Michael King. Now, you say, why? He's been here a couple of years. He's been successful. I understand all that. But we've seen what he could be, his most potential of what he could be. He's not Mariano Rivera, and even if they convert him to a starter, I don't think we'll be losing like the next Andy Pettitte there. He's a very good player, but he's a bullpen guy. You could pick up bullpen guys anywhere. You could get one at the trade deadline, and guys gravitate to that role. Look how Loizaga first came up. He was a starter, didn't really work out for him, got hurt a few times, and then he kind of gravitated himself into being one of the Yankees' late inning setup men. Well, we could find someone else. I don't know, maybe Johnny Brito, if he doesn't get traded in this deal, he could gravitate into that role of Vasquez. So, you could always find a bullpen guy. So I don't think you would hold up a deal just for a bullpen guy. You would only hold up the deal if you knew you had like the next Mariano, you had the next Billy Wagner, or if you had like the next Dennis Eckersley. All right, you won't let any of those guys go. But Michael King is not in that class, nor if he gets converted to a starter, even though we saw him have some good starts toward the end of last year. I don't think he's a guy that you just can't let go because he's good, but he's just not great. So I would be, of the two of them, I would be willing to let go King just because, we know what he is there. I'd rather keep on Drew Thorpe just because, he's a younger guy. He's 23, still in the minors, so he's under control for a longer period of time. And we still don't know, really where his potential could be, ceiling is yet. So I wouldn't want to let him go that quick. King, I think we know what his ceiling is. It could be a very good ceiling, but I only think something you can let go. And plus, you want to look at King, even though the Yankees are looking to convert him to a starter, you got to remember, in 2022, they had to shut him down and he needed elbow surgery. Now, it wasn't the Tommy John surgery he originally thought it was, but he's already been damaged. So can that elbow balk at him again? He's going to need more surgery? Maybe. So if the Yankees could just package King with, let's say, throw in Johnny Brito, even a Clark Schmidt or a Vasquez, I would really give any of those guys in a little package to get Soto for a few years. done deal, and you don't have to give up Volpe, and of course you don't have to give up Jason Dominguez, which you wouldn't do it anyway. But I think that would be a good move for the Yankees. They're being a little stubborn on it, so we'll see what happens throughout this winter meetings. That's where the GMs will have their little proposals, meetings like that. You usually don't see deals during the winter meetings, usually it's after. But this is where all the talk and negotiations go on. So hopefully Cashman and the Padres can kind of restart the talks again, and Cashman will maybe if the Padres throw in an extra arm with Soto to come in, maybe then Cashman could sell that a little bit better and would be a little more comfortable. But again, just straight up, if you could just give Michael King and Brito and Clark Schmidt, those three guys, something like that, a little package for Soto, you got to do that. Because with Soto, you're getting an MVP caliber player who you could bring to this lineup, which we desperately need. And of course, I don't have to go through the whole thing, but of course, I'll remind you anyway. Left-handed bat, which the Yankees need. A left fielder, which the Yankees need. Now, I know he is not the greatest defense in the world, but kind of fills those two voids. And you just look at the Yankee lineup. You could if you could match it up right now, you'd have probably Judge batting third, Soto fourth, so you go righty-lefty. Then you got Stanton in there as another right-handed, and then Rizzo. So righty-lefty, righty-lefty. I mean, that's how you make a lineup. That's how you throw opposing pitches off there. Instead of what the Yankee problem has been for the past few seasons, it's like 8 guys batting right-handed, and you have like one left-hander in there, like a switch hitter. So it gives the lineup more variety, makes opposing pitchers a little more uncomfortable, and I think this makes everyone better. And of course, Stanton, that's a separate issue. I think he needs to see a sports psychologist or something to find out what's going on in his head. But let's just imagine we get Stanton going again. To have Judge, Soto, Stanton in the middle of your lineup, that's pretty good. It'll be one of the more field lineups in baseball, and I think it'll put the Yankees back in, it'll just energize everybody. I think it'll energize the rest of the lineup, energize the fans, energize the media, which, again, everyone's had a disappointed 2023, left with a bad taste in their mouth. And if we look for Soto himself, he's entering this going to be a contract year, and shockingly, it happens to a lot of players. Look at Judge in 2022, hitting 62 home runs. You look at Carlos Beltran in 2004, what he did with the Astros. It seems when players are about to enter and get that big contract, they have an amazing, great year. Well, let him have an amazing, great year in a Yankee uniform. So even if he puts up great stats and we have a great 2024, and he wants a bolt after that, fine. But we got to get a good year out of him, an MVP-type year out of him. I just think it's a win-win for the Yankees. So for the Yankees to hold this all up, I think it's a little foolish with them. I would, if I had the choice, to give up King and get it done deal. Even if it's 1 year for Soto, it's worth it. And plus, you got all these other pieces. You're paying Garrett Cole a lot of money. He's 33 years old. You're paying Judge a lot of money. You're paying these guys to be into the World Series and winning games in the World Series, not to have like a mediocre lineup. So if it's King's the price, then fine, let him have King. So now other teams, of course, want to get involved in this situation. So you hear that maybe Toronto, maybe Seattle's kind of kicking the tires, also on Soto there. But a good thing about the winter meetings, usually, again, this is a period of negotiation, so you probably don't go see a move yet. And there's other pieces that need to fall. Of course, that's going to be Shohei Ohtani. So other teams might have plans for Ohtani, and if those plans don't work out, then they might go for Soto. So until the Ohtani things worked out, you might not see the move for Soto yet. So I don't think the Yankees are really under pressure with time. And of course, Ohtani now, you're hearing upwards, he might get like $600 million. So a lot of money, so there's going to be a lot of negotiating going on. So that probably first piece needs to drop, and then you see the other pieces drop. The next piece will drop probably be Soto. And then, of course, you see, the backup plan, maybe for the Yankees and a lot of other teams, will be Bellinger there. So, but I think the Yankees have Soto in the sights. I would say the good news is that at least there's a dialogue going on. There's a back and forth. It's just a matter of, is it going to probably be Thorpe or is it going to be King? Again, give it to two. I'd rather give King, throw a pitcher into it, and get the deal done. Bring him here, have a better Yankee lineup, and I just think, it just makes perfect sense. Soto is the gift you want under your tree. Now, the Yankees have made their second move in terms of acquiring a player. Of course, we know we got the pitcher De Los Santos from the Pittsburgh Pirates. That was a free agency deal a couple weeks ago. Now the Yankees have also added Oscar Gonzalez, grabbing off the waiver wires from the Cleveland Guardians. Now, you might remember Gonzalez a couple of seasons ago with the Yankees, in that 2022 divisional series there. Had a good run up to that, had actually the game-winning home run against Tampa Bay, and that was like that extra inning affair. And then obviously had the game-winning hit, that was the Game 3 in Cleveland to win the game. That's one Luis Severino pitched well in, but of course the Yankee bullpen blew it, and kind of blamed Boone for that game because he had Clay Holmes in the bullpen, didn't use him. Want to relive that whole thing, but luckily the Yankees did win that series. But now Gonzalez, young guy still, he's 25. Now he's going to be 26 by the time the season starts. But he fell out of favor a little bit with the Cleveland organization. I guess they just didn't like the way he approached 2023. They wanted him to be a different type of hitter, but we'll go over his numbers. So first we'll go the good, the bad, and maybe the ugly. But first, let's go with the good. His 2022 season, when he was kind of a fan favorite there. He had the whole, his walk-up theme when he was there was the theme song, the SpongeBob SquarePants. the whole Rivet Sea thing, but I don't know what the lyrics of that. But that's his whole gimmick there. So obviously, comes to the Yankees, you're going to get that as well. You know that. But nevertheless, 2022, 91 games, hit 296, 11 home runs, and 43 RBIs. So you can understand why they're excited about the guy. And I mentioned he had those postseason heroics there. Now 2023. Wasn't so good for him. Now, it started off bad in the spring training for him. They wanted him to be a little bit more selective at the plate, which I don't know why the guy hit 296. I mean, it's pretty selective, but nevertheless, it seemed like he just those button heads there a little bit and did not get off to a good start of the season. Had actually sent him down to the minors, then came up in July and played out the rest of the season, but again, wasn't a good 2023 campaign. Again, the fact that they put him on the waivers just after one bad season kind of goes to show that it's probably more just front office is mad at him more than his performance. So, again, it seemed like locked heads there a little bit. So that's probably why Cashman figured, just put this guy in a better situation where he's happy. Not that he couldn't handle it anymore. There's certain players we just know, all right, they just stink. And it's like, that's one thing. But this guy probably doesn't stink. He's just probably, his head's not in the right place. So that's why they brought him here. But 2023, not as good there. His numbers, just 54 games. Hit 214, which would probably fit in with the 2023 Yankees perfectly. Just 2 home runs and 12 RBIs. Again, not good there. But again, they probably saw what he did when he came up in 2022 and figured there's something in there. Just let's put him in the right situation. So we'll see what the Yankees could maybe get out of the guy. Now, he's a right-handed hitter. Not to say the Yankees need a ton of those, but right-handed hitter, but he's versatile. He can play both left and right field for the Yankees there. Now, Cashman said before the season, the offseason kind of started, or at least when the offseason did start, that he wants to at least get 2 outfielders. So is this technically outfielder number 1? Maybe. I mean, it's not like it's not like a big move. So I mean, you would hope there'd be a bigger move than just an Oscar Gonzalez, but maybe that'd be so maybe him and someone else. Hopefully, it's a Soto or a Bellinger like that. But he at least did want to go over the 2 outfielders. So and of course, you have to trade for just got this guy off the waivers, so it wasn't like any big trades. You have to give any prospects or anything like that for him. And I think he would if he doesn't, he'll probably fit in here. He'll be a character guy. Again, you got the whole SpongeBob SquarePants stuff, and I'm sure they'll work that in there. And of course, Nestor Cortez is a character. So again, it just brings the brings a little it increases the clubhouse chemistry, I would say, more like that. And again, it's a new face, and that's like what Cashman has been doing so far this offseason, moving out a lot of the older faces and bringing some new faces in here because you got to change it up. And again, they've been pretty much going with the same group of guys for almost 4 or 5 years now, and the results haven't been any better, and so you can't keep going with the same formula here. So let's just see what this guy brings. And since you have to give up for anything from me, if he turns out to a bust, fine. He could be like a Frenchie Cordero. You just send him back down to the minors or option him or trade him, give away. So I'll say it's high reward, low risk, but hopefully it all works out, and we'll see how it goes. But again, Oscar Gonzalez, your newest Yankee. Well, one Yankee face we know will be back will be Luis Severino. I mentioned at the top, and I'm sure you know by now. Signing a 1-year deal with the New York Mets, so staying in New York, but pitching across town. And again, not really surprising. I don't think the Yankees were going to be interested in him. If they were, it was going to be something similar, just a 1-year deal. And $13 million, that was basically his option the Yankees picked up last season, so he's kind of making the same amount of money. And again, more or less, it probably would have taken that to get him here. Maybe if the prices were equal, even a little bit less, maybe would have stayed with the Yankees. But nevertheless, goes to the Mets there. But I just think it's the wise move for the Yankees. You got to sort of cut the cord there. As much as I like Luis Severino, he's been here for a number of years, and you always want to see your guy come up here, succeed, and have a long stint in the Yankee uniform. But unfortunately, we know the case with him. He's just always hurt. He's not dependable. When he's in there, and he's healthy. He's up there stuff-wise, almost Garrett Cole. But the problem is he's hurt too often with that. And you're going into next year where, all right, your rotation is Cole. You could count on that. But you have a lot of other question marks. There's a question mark on Nestor Cortez. He was hurt a lot last season. Is he going to be able to perform well? Rendon, he was hurt almost the first half of last season, came back, but it was just absolutely just terrible, really. Just to be frank about it, maybe minus 1 or 2 starts. He was absolutely terrible. So I don't think you worry about Rendon's health. Maybe a little bit just overall his head and kind of weird antics also in the man. So that's a second question mark. And then from the rest of the way there, you still don't know what you have. You're not sure who your 4th starter is. You don't know who your 5th starter is. But you already have 2 question marks with Rendon and Nestor. You don't need yet another one with Luis Severino, and did not have a good 2023 season at all. His record there was it was 4-8 with an ERA 6.65. Again, he started the year hurt, came back, had to be shut down, came back, had to be shut down, and then ultimately had to be shut down for the rest of the season. And kind of they called it like I guess with an oblique or just kind of in the middle of his body. Kind of a weird thing there, but there was something wrong with him the entire season. He just wasn't himself, and he just had a couple of games where he just absolutely got hammered. So he was probably hurt the whole way, and I can understand him in a free agency year. He probably wanted to gut it out there and do what he can to get a big long-term deal, get more than a one-year deal. But again, hurt too often. Again, at best he was able to get was the one-year deal, so he should be lucky with that. And for the Yankees, you heard also maybe some noise that they may consider bringing back Frankie Montas. No way. Again, same with Severino. If you're not going to bring back Severino, definitely don't bring back Montas. I mean, he's been hurt ever since he's put a Yankee uniform on. Missed pretty much all of last season. He had one appearance where he came out of the bullpen a little bit. I mean, they should just shut him down for the entire year. But nevertheless, I would not want to consider Montas at all there. So Severino goes to the Mets. Good luck with him. Hope it all works out. Hope he can stay healthy. And again, it really doesn't conflict with the Yankees head on. So even if he's having successful, I'm sure as a Yankee fan, you don't want to see him go out there and win a Cy Young because then you regret not, letting him go like that. But, I'm sure you'll have a decent season. You can win 13, 14 games if he stays healthy and fine. It doesn't really bother you. Now you want to look back at Luis Severino, again, mixed things. He was hurt a lot, but also had some good moments. You want to go back to the 2017 divisional series against the then Cleveland Indians. Remember, the Yankees were down 2-0. They had to bring the series back to New York, and both him and Tanaka pitched brilliant back-to-back games in the Bronx to at least bring that to a Game 5 back in Cleveland, where the Yankees were able to win that final game on the road. So you got to give Severino his credit for that. And of course, 2018, he had those. It was the game. I'm sorry, it was 2019. That game in Minnesota, that divisional series. Now the Yankees were already up 2-0, so it wasn't really a pressure-packed game. But nevertheless, we went into Minnesota, threw 4 shutout innings, and then they turned it over to the bullpen. Of course, everything was formulaic back then, especially, and the Yankees were able to move on in that series there. So Severino's had some good moments for the Yankees in the postseason, and he even pitched some really good games down there in Houston. But unfortunately, he would always be matched up with Verlander, and you'd lose like a 2-0 affair. So he would lose the game, but it really wasn't his fault. So Severino was a good pitcher for the Yankees overall, and of course, the most recent one was 2022, that Game 3 in Cleveland. Again, the bullpen blew it, but he pitched well for the Yankees, deserved to win that game. So overall, again, it was successful for the Yankees, and of course, once he left, he said all the right things. He thanked the fans, he treated well and all that stuff there. But it's just the factor is you can't really trust the guy because he's always hurt. It's always either the midsection, the oblique, the shoulder, the this, the groin. It's just, there's already enough question marks for the Yankees that I just don't think they need another one, Severino. So he leaves. And now look, it's a one-year deal. So let's just say he does very well with the Mets and, he stays healthy, he proves himself. Doesn't really exactly close the door on his Yankee career. Again, they're leaving on good terms, so he could always come back. We've seen other Yankee starters come back here, such as like Roger Clemens, for example. We've seen David Wells come back here, for example, for another tour. So I don't think it's not a final goodbye. It's only a one-year deal to the Mets, so he could always come back. We'll see what happens. I'll work with that, but unfortunately, you're going into next season. I think the Yankees have their sights set on Yamamoto. I just think the idea was have Cole, Yamamoto, Rendon, and Nestor. Those be your top 4. And then the 5th spot could be open. We'll see if Michael King ends up not being dealt. He's an optioneer. You always have Clark Schmidt, who is pretty decent for the Yankees. Who's probably one of the Yankees' few bright spots of 2023, if you want to think about it. Or is this maybe some guy there that makes like a Johnny Brito or Vasquez? Remains to be seen. But Severino, no longer a New York Yankee. Now, a few episodes ago, we kind of threw it out there that Lou Piniella, again, up for a Hall of Fame vote. Now, this is with that contemporary committee, which is not the traditional Baseball Writers Association, but it's kind of this committee of former players and umpires and front office votes that vote people in that, they went past their 10-year threshold with the traditional route, but, they give some players a second look, and that's how you see someone like Harold Baines get in, which was kind of ridiculous. But nevertheless, Lou Piniella was up there. Now, I went over his numbers, both a player and a manager, and even together. I'd say I would be shocked if he didn't get in, but I just didn't think it was enough there to get in, and he ended up not getting in. But who did end up getting in was former Tigers and Florida Marlins and Pittsburgh manager Jim Leyland. Now, only reason interesting with that going in is that because I'll break down his number again, and some of these are very similar. So it's kind of weird that they let Leyland but not Piniella, because if you look at the managerial numbers, wins, and some of the accolades, they're just about on par with each other. So it's kind of weird there. So not to say I just thought Piniella should get in, but if you're not going to put Piniella in, how do you put Leyland in there? So, but nevertheless, congratulations again. He's been around the game for a long time. Not saying he doesn't deserve it, but it's kind of weird. Piniella did get snubbed a little bit, and I'll explain the numbers in a second. But if I want to go back to Jim Leyland, so he got the 16 ballots. You need to get a minimum of 12 of the 16 ballots. Now, Piniella missed it by 1. He only got on 11 ballots. Leyland got more votes. He got 15 out of the 16 ballots there. So some of this might be more based on relationships, stuff like that behind the scenes versus the actual performance. But nevertheless, Leland will give him his due there. So he has one world championship. That was with the 1997 Florida Marlins. Manager of the year 3 times. That was 90 and 92 with the Pittsburgh Pirates. And in 2006 with the Detroit Tigers. That's a team that went to the World Series but lost to the Cardinals that year. And I'm sure Met fans remember that one. And as a player himself, not even close to the player Lou Piniella was. He only never got past AA ball, and that was back in 1970. So this is strictly on his managerial numbers there. And, of course, he's the first manager to be voted in since 2014 when they put in Joe Torre, Tony La Russa, and Bobby Cox there. But the reason why it's kind of weird that he gets in and on Piniella here, look at the numbers here. So for Leland, his record was 1,769 wins to 1,728 losses. So he's only about, career-wise, he only got 1,700 wins, and he's only 40 games above 500. So, and that's a winning percentage of .506. Now, you got Lou Piniella's numbers. He won more games, 1,835, and he lost less games, 1,713, and that's a winning percentage of .517. So he's a higher winning percentage than Jim Leland. And he was also a manager of the year 3 times, same as Jim Leland, and he won 1 championship with the Cincinnati Reds, same as Jim Leland. So Piniella has more wins as a manager, a better winning percentage. They have the same amount of World Series wins with one. They're both 3-time manager of the year, but why does Leland get in and not Lou Piniella? So this seems a little bit weird. I just think it's more relationship-based. Again, this temporary committee is made of like other players and former managers and umpires and stuff like that. And if you know about Lou Piniella, him and umpires, I don't know, maybe they get along, maybe not. But there's a lot of, obviously, you go back footage of him kicking dirt on umpires, yelling at umpires. So maybe it was that attitude and stuff that kind of cost him. Jim Leland, he get mad once in a while, but we know Jim Leland is more laid back. A lot of times caught smoking in the dugout there, probably with Camel non-filters, nevertheless. But it's maybe I just think this is more of a relationship thing more than actual performance. Because if you want us to go about the numbers, which I don't think Piniella's a shoo-in, but Piniella's numbers are better than Leland as a manager there. And plus, Piniella spent some time as a player and, of course, winning a couple of World Series with the New York Yankees. So you put that all together, I would say Piniella's more deserving, but nevertheless, it goes to Jim Leland. So we'll see, again, the future's still there, there's committee there, so maybe a year or 2 from now, maybe Piniella finally gets in. But it's just weird it was not both of them, it was just Leland. But I just think that was all relationship-based. Now, former Yankee and former Baltimore Orioles Zack Britton, who retired, we kind of went over his numbers and gave his goodbye in a previous episode. Kind of also made some comments that, this Yankees organization compared to now to when he first broke in with the league, saying it's really just the stadium and the team, the whole thing overall, not as intimidating as it used to be. Now, when he came in around 2012, 2013, he still had some of the old guard there, of course, Jeter, Mariano, Andy Pettitte, A-Rod, Teixeira there, and he's had a very intimidating lineup, and that's kind of what the Yankees need to get back to, and I think Soto would be the solution for that. I just think, a lot of teams just don't fear the Yankees as much as they used to, the organization overall. I think a lot of times the Yankees just came in on, reputation, versus now I just think, again, this team's not intimidated by the Yankees or Yankee Stadium like they used to be, and I think just bringing Soto in here would solve that, even if it's for 1 year. Just imagine what he could do with that short porch in right field there that he could tee off, and again, has every motivation in the world to put up tremendous numbers as he's about to walk into a contract year. Again, this is a guy who turned down $440 million, so he wants a big payday. So he's going to see what Ohtani's going to get, and he's going to probably want something almost up there or just 1 tick below that. So for the Yankees, again, if you just got to give up 1 arm, and whether it's King or Thorpe, you got to make that deal. So hopefully they do that, and the Yankees treat themselves during this holiday season. So that's the episode. Hope you like it. So if you're watching on TV or YouTube, and if you haven't subscribed on YouTube, and if you're watching on TV, go to YouTube, subscribe, get notified new episodes right away so you don't have to wait and that. And of course, the audio version podcast of the show. We got a lot of stuff coming up still, a long off season ahead. So wherever you get your podcast, Section 420 Talkin Yankees, subscribe. Treat yourself this holiday season.